Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency Governance Meeting. We can start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, roll call. Diane Einen, I am present. Lynn?
Here.
And Costume.
Here.
And thank you for being with us, Mike, Chair of the IDA. Pleasure, always. If you could take a few moments, refer to your meeting packet, page 3, the minutes of our meeting from March 13th. And once you've had an opportunity to read, if someone could make a motion to accept these minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I was absent. Should I second it?
I think you still can, yeah.
All right, I'll second them. I don't see anything.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Public comment any? Do we have any guests, Lisa?
No.
Thank you. Done there. Executive session, it's not necessary, so we'll move right into old business, which is county housing. So, excuse me. As you all know, we continue to have a moratorium on our housing policy, and the work of the governance committee is to develop a policy for the board in general, and then to be able to develop something, put something together, potential strategy and policy, and present it to the full board. So that work has been in progress. We've had a bit of a lull for a variety of reasons. So today I'd like us to spend time revisiting. I think we did a good job of outlining next steps from our March 13th meeting. You have an outline of that in your packet. So I think I would open this up for discussion as we look through our housing strategy that we discussed on March 13th. So open it up for discussion and thoughts related to where we are, where we need to go. Does everything that we have here still resonate with us?
Sure, just one thing.
Sure.
I think this is generally in line with what I was thinking. I did speak with Steve Kelly briefly for 2 minutes, and we thought that we should get together. So if next time when there's a meeting, I'd be happy to join if you're okay with that.
Join
The workforce meeting on housing committee.
with Steve and Rashida?
Steve and Rashida.
Yeah, I think maybe what I actually would prefer is that they come here to our next
Whichever,
governance
wherever it
meeting.
is,
Because
yeah.
I think at this point, this group has been out here, and it's not really, the
Right.
idea was that it would feed into this group, and I
Yes.
don't think we've been as good at doing that as we could have been, and should have been. So I think what I would prefer is our next governance meeting that Rashida and Steve come here, and we have probably continue to do, kind of get their input, plug it into the outline that we have here, and then see where we are from there.
That works for me.
Yeah, is that good? Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
works.
based on our last meeting, Rashida and I had a conversation. Because of the work she's doing now in her new role, she is going around and she is meeting a lot of IDAs across the state.
Okay.
And so I said to her, if there's some IDAs that you feel have really got some work together on housing and what they're doing and what they're proposing, because this is not unique to Ulster County, it's across the state, across the country. Let's identify them and let's pull, their policies. Let's see who's got what out there that could be something that could help us as we're trying to develop ours.
And we can use those as templates to the extent that those fit. What I discussed with Steve, and I think we should know it here too, and I brought it up with you briefly, I think, if we can focus on what the objective is, and the objective for us is job creation and economic prosperity, but we are focusing on certain avenues like light manufacturing or assembly, etc. So I think we should keep that in mind, what kind of housing will be required for that, and who is moving in, and develop that. So we can talk about that in detail when everybody's here in the room. But that's one of the conversations Steve and I had briefly.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. That's helpful. I'm trying to connect if they're manufacturing. For me, it's like, if we're going to pull all these new companies into iPark 87, you're going to bring new workers into the area, and we don't have workforce housing to accommodate a lot of that influx. or people who historically haven't been able to, and we are able to provide now today for people who live here now. I'm not sure how the type of job impacts. I can see how the type of job would impact workforce development initiatives, but how would whether they're a manufacturing company coming in or a tech company impact our housing? Like, I don't. Housing
I
is
think-
housing, right? You need
No,
somewhere to live.
Respectfully, I disagree. I think it depends on your demographics and also what your compensation is.
Sure.
So depending on what kind of manufacturing we are bringing in, it'll define what kind of housing we may need to an extent. Not completely, because we cannot say how economically prosperous an individual is and accordingly provide that, because that they can choose themselves. But to provide basic housing, we should have something to be able to say that, hey, if you're coming to work here, we have the provision for you to be able to stay there and actually
Okay.
have your family there as well.
Okay.
If we don't have that defined, I don't think we
Okay.
have the parameters set to be able to say what we're really looking for.
But do we know who's coming? Like, I mean,
That's what I want to discuss.
Yeah, like
I
how
don't
would
know.
we? I'm not
Yeah.
pushing. I'm just trying to think out loud here and think.
Lynn, your mic might be out.
How. Like, how long would it be till we actually would know what that looked like? We have Zinke.
I don't know. The reason I
Yeah.
don't know is because I wanted to. That's what I talked to Steve about, and I think we should have a broader conversation. I said to him. So we decided that next time we meet, maybe we do it in a bigger setting, and governance committee setting works very well to me. So if we don't do it soon, I would be happy to talk to them sooner and see what the parameters should be set. That's what I was alluding to, because I don't think.
Here's the thing, though, and
Yeah.
this is, everybody throws out affordable housing, workforce housing, they throw out all this, and everybody, it means something different.
You're right.
So,
You're right.
one of the things that I tried to start with building the questions that we would be asking all the committees.
Yes.
And one of the things is, what's your definition of workforce housing?
Yes.
What's your definition of affordable
Yes.
housing? Even senior housing.
Yes.
So that as because there's a lot of activity going on, not only at the county level
Mhm.
and the state level,
Yes.
but at the local levels. They're getting certified for housing smart initiatives in
Yep.
their community, looking at
Yes.
what can be done.
Yeah.
But again, are we only linking ourselves up to the
One.
workforce
Yeah.
housing or all housing? I feel like there's a lot of unknowns, and
There are.
part of that is stuff that's already we're kind of getting at the
I think
same
we're
thing.
talking about the
Maybe
same thing.
It may be highlighting. I don't know that it's directly related to a job.
I'm just
That's
smiling
what I'm
because I
thinking.
think we might have to sit down with Steve and Rashida again, like we did last time for
Yeah.
our stuff
Yeah.
on corporate governance.
The other
But-
thing I'm thinking too, to that point, because I understand like the way you described that, that's resonating a bit better than so. But I'm wondering too if the county has, they're all this work in drawing businesses into iPark 87. There's certain industries and things and that they're pulling in. So, there may also, maybe we put this under research data that the county has gotten on the types of jobs they're anticipating will roll in to help us to that point. Like,
Yes.
how do you start
And
thinking about is affordable at this bracket of income or is it this?
it's
So,
not only bracket income. That was just one example I used. I can go one step deeper and we can sit down afterwards, not to spend more time. But it could be a temporary job too. Or it could be a permanent job which has a defined length of time that they're going to be here for. So a short-term rental may work for them, but short-term rental by several towns is defined by 30 days or less. So I think we'll have to think about a lot of those things, how that works and fits for a person who wants to live here.
yeah, we could do it in part of the definition of the policy who qualifies
where I
for it,
think
which
we
would be
both are
permanent,
going.
temporary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All
That's
right.
all.
Yeah.
I think you just have to be careful
Yes,
that you don't paint yourself into a corner.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's why when I say parameters, they will have to be wide as well.
Yeah.
Because we also have to understand, right now and we can discuss this later, I don't have to spend the time right now, but we might be looking at some short-term initiatives right now, but the vision, which is not a plan, we agree, will have to be taken into consideration as well, because there are other jobs that are more recreational or tourism oriented.
Mm-hmm.
There are other jobs that are agricultural.
Yeah.
And I have spoken with quite a few, I won't name names right now, but business owners who are more into tourism or restaurants or hotels. Their employees also need some kind of housing.
Well,
Yep.
and their
People leave.
employees can't afford the way
They
the rents
cannot.
have been
That's
jacked
right.
up at this juncture
That's
with
right.
COVID, the
Yes.
shifting demographics
I mean,
in the
other,
area.
yeah,
Yes,
that's a whole nother
exactly.
thing. I mean, a
That's
lot of,
another McGill.
because a whole lot of companies in tourism actually provide housing on site to their actual hotel
They
for
try.
their staff. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to
Not all.
No, I said there.
yeah,
People
not
have
all,
used
some
that as
do.
a model.
And to
I didn't
ID
say
Chair's
everybody.
point, I think we need to be broad enough such that we're
Yep.
not getting cornered.
All right. So, Lynn, you want to, I think because part of this is understanding what other IDAs have done, just again to see how they help us think and inform our decisions and how we're defining housing, who's actually falls
It's not
within
even
it.
just other IDAs. I mean, that
No,
could
no,
be
I know.
informed,
But the other
other
entities.
Committee,
Yep.
other committees in the county.
Yeah, in the
that
county.
are
Yep.
working.
Yep.
And we've not, I think you sent out, the old board sent out a survey.
Yeah, no one answered it.
No one answered it.
Not one supervisor, no one answered it.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, but, have a public hearing. See how
Okay.
many people show up to answer it. So, you're right, it comes down to communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, we're trying to get our finger on the pulse of what different towns want to do and what they want to see coming. And when that questionnaire, which I still have that, I'm sure you still have it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't that
Sorry.
intrusive, I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah, it was pretty basic
10
actually.
minutes.
Yeah.
But, we would have gladly taken the feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have been real helpful for us. But, the current policy that we do have, I even spoke to the chair here, as far as the housing go, and I go, our housing policy, is it the greatest thing in the world? No, but
Mm-mm.
it'll work. And it really mimics 90% of everyone else's, maybe with the exception of Dutchess, who, they incentivize, like, wall housing, and, with the exception of them over there, and I don't want to go too far into the woods on that, that may have changed. But, you could lift the moratorium and run with it, But, I know this board is very dedicated to making sure they get it right.
Yeah. But I mean, the other part about our existing policy, there's a reason we put a moratorium on it, right? Because it wasn't working. So,
I think there was two reasons for that. And to be blunt,
yeah.
we had some unscrupulous developers that would
Yeah.
took
Yeah.
big advantage
Exactly.
of the tax incentives this entity could offer.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that's,
What was the other reason?
huh?
You said two.
Yeah, the other reason is what Diane was alluding to, that, it wasn't working, and I think one walked hand in hand with the other. And,
yeah.
but I think this board and the previous board did a real good job of, holding people's hands to the fire. And, you know what? I always go back to this, for me, is that despite what we approve here, there's a clawback revision that we present to every client and feed it into their heads. Hey, this could happen. We don't want to see it happen to you.
Yeah.
You need to follow what we've given to you and what you agreed to on paper, or it's going to come back. And, nobody would like to. Suppose you had a project, hypothetically, where you had 400 units, okay, of affordable housing. And we entered the clawback provision in, and then year two, the guy just went, oh, by the way, we're not doing this anymore. This board, and I think we proved it in the past, nobody here wants to be punitive,
No.
but at one point,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
still a set of guidelines that
No, there has to be
follow.
recourse.
Yeah.
Yeah. To something you said a little while ago, everybody here is very cautious or careful. I will decide how you meant it, but at the same time, I think we need to be expedient as well. I think we have to move forward, and if we make mistakes, we should have a provision like a clawback. And not a mistake, I don't mean a blatant mistake, but something that
Yeah.
we cannot contain. I don't think we should be holding the policy back because of that. I think we should still roll something out, at least for a review. We don't have to authorize it and move it in and implement it, but I think there has to be some expediency, greater expediency that we have seen in the past few months. Because housing, as we all know, is important. So if I'm volunteering myself that if we need to jump in, I think Lynn is doing the same.
No, I'm not, don't put words in my mouth, because what I disagree with you on.
Yes, go ahead.
Respectfully.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that, there's, you can't just put a policy out, and then if it's not working, or something happens that you don't like, oh, we're gonna pull it back. You're talking about.
No,
making
that would be
a
putting
policy.
words in my mouth.
If I may,
Yes, please.
You just said, be willing to put it out there and we'll, pull back on
Not
mistakes.
implement it. I didn't say implement it. I said not implement it. Roll it out so every.
Something out without implementing.
Well, I haven't seen anything yet, so I can't review anything.
Say that the timing, we do need to do something.
Yes, we
right?
do.
This has
And-
not just been in the last couple months we haven't addressed this. There's some personal issues I have going on in my life.
Oh
that
no,
has
I'm not saying anything
But let
about
me just fin-
individuals.
And before that, Mike was in charge of this as a governance chair. It's complicated. And a lot of people are looking to the IDA to see that we get this quote unquote right. And we're trying to do due diligence and do the thing that when we do land on this, that we have a lot of confidence in it. It won't be perfect. No. But we'll have confidence in it. We will have input from other entities who are also looking at this issue in the county. And then we'll have clawback in there too if it's not. No one's looking for perfection or getting it exactly right. I don't think over caution is the thing. It's the complexity of this issue and what we need to really consider moving forward, because the other policy, there's a reason the moratorium was there. This is not something that is just we're going to come up with something and see if it works. We have
Chair,
to
I'll
do a little
say
bit
one
more.
No, I appreciate that. I'll say this. That's why I said let's not implement it. Let's review something. What I'm saying with respect to expediency, I started on the board in June, and we have been talking about housing since at least before that. A lot of turmoil has occurred. Personally, as a board member, I haven't seen anything on policy yet.
There's a policy that exists that's being held right
I thought
now.
we were trying, there's a moratorium on that, and I think we are trying to revise that. So if we are looking at revisions, I haven't seen anything. And
We
I'm
haven't
not,
seen
and
anything.
I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm being very open and honest that one of the reasons we all joined the board was to see some movement. And if there is any need for help and assistance, what I'm saying is I'm happy to assist if there is a need. But having said that, I'm not talking about implementing anything just yet. What I'm saying is I have not seen anything to be able to provide any input on that. And that's the expediency I'm talking about.
I mean, there's actual different things you can look at, I'm sure everybody here in this room's looked at.
You've shared it too.
If you turn around and you have a project, it's got 100 houses, 100 apartments, but 25% of those are affordable. And you just incentivize the 25%. I mean, you go that route. If it's a pilot, instead of
Which I
taking-
think is, if I could, is on that point, because that's an extremely important point. That's the whole uproar
That's the
in
whole
the
thing about-
community about are we incentivizing market rate housing? And so
But
there
the-
would be a school of thought to say, yes, let's take that 20% or whatever percent, and let's incentivize that piece of it, not the market rate housing.
Yeah,
Because
that's
there's no reason to.
There's an avenue for that.
There
There's an
is,
avenue for that.
right.
The other one is, a traditional pilot, instead of going, 10, whatever.
Right.
Okay, you don't start it at 0 or 100% and work your way back. You know what? Housing's a whole different entity, and this guy wants to, be incentivized. Maybe you start that at 30%. You see what I'm saying?
And-
You start it in the 30 mark, and you go, we don't. This is what it is.
I-
And there's things to put in place here.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't. That's why I'm stating it like this. But I think we need to move forward with something, because if we don't try, we're not going to learn either.
Yeah, and
We
you know,
won't move forward.
the definition of, between workforce affordability and all this other thing, you know what, that range, and nobody will ever come clear on that. We'll never get that. I think that's the $1,000,000 question, right? So when you present it with, well, yeah, it's affordable housing, and it will range anywhere from 30 to 130% of the AMI. And you go, what? That's the gap.
Yeah.
So, that's another thing we as a board maybe should, I don't want to say paint it in, but
Yeah. Yeah.
what's the AMI?
No, at the
Yeah.
same time, there have to be some rough strokes.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't think anybody. I just want to come back. I don't think we don't want to move forward. I'm a little
no,
perplexed
I'm
by
having
this.
a discussion. I'm
No,
not.
no, no. I
Yeah.
I understand. I keep hearing move it. We need to move. I don't think there's
You
any
all
dis.
said we need to move
I don't think there's any
forward.
disagreement there that we
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
move forward and that we're.
Unfortunate, too, we have
Yeah.
to-
I just wanted to be clear. I mean,
no,
I think we all want to
Yeah.
move forward. Yeah.
But I mean, once again, going back to our current housing policy, you know what? If it's not the best in the world, it's not the worst in the world.
Well,
And-
and should we be talking about, there's a lot of money being thrown
Yes.
out at housing at the state level. So
Yes.
if there's any state funding in a
That's right.
project, we should not be putting local money.
Local money in? No.
No, they could go 485B, they could take the process.
Process, yeah.
Do the process.
Yeah.
They could do that. And you want to know some prime example? I mean, I don't want to say this is, but, I believe this one project up here on Golden Hill, I believe that is, that may be in the process right now of just under a 485B, because that's their thing. I don't think they came to, we've never seen an application from,
No.
we've never seen an application from that company.
No.
And
No,
good.
but it is a question that we do.
I think they are going through the city
I-
and state. I think there's a combination.
I think
I
you're right
understand.
with I think the city, I believe you're correct, because there's a little hiccup going on.
Right,
So,
right.
But that's something we ask any of our applicants, if they're receiving state funding or any type
We
of
do,
other
we do.
funding, then we do take that, and we should take that into consideration, obviously, with housing too.
Well, and depending on the size of the
Yeah.
apartments, are they one-bedroom apartment, two-bedroom apartments? One of the things that, that doesn't get played out or really incorporate a lot of times into the analysis of tax breaks is the implication of families in larger three-bedroom apartments that are using the services of the school system, and they're not sufficiently covering the tax portion of that. So that's a layer that we have nowhere in our policy that I think we should have strong.
Yeah.
It's alluded to generally, the tax implications, but specifically, I mean, if you're talking about multi-bedroom apartments, there are implications that I don't think are addressed.
And also, no, you're right. I don't think so either. In fact, I was thinking a couple other things. In fact, even the term for which that's defined as affordable housing or early entry, whatever we want to call it here.
you can define affordable housing as per the IDA.
No, that's exactly where I'm going. I think
Yeah,
we need
because
to
there's-
look
That's
at
right.
it again.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
that's exactly
Yeah.
right.
And the other thing is,
It should
when you
be
start
above
getting
HUD,
into the
which should be
Yes.
above
woods
HUD,
Yes.
yeah.
on what this governance is going to get together and work on as you proceed, you got to remember at all times the coordination with the UTEP. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is where, Diane, we sat there before and we beat this like a dead horse. We said if we come up with this policy on housing, there's more than a better chance that we have to create a separate UTEP for housing.
Yep.
And, because your current UTEP on housing is not gonna check the boxes for these projects.
Doesn't.
That UTEP works great for manufacturing and everybody else
Yeah.
coming our way, but
For
housing,
commercial.
it really, you start looking down it and you go, I've got no points,
Mhm.
I've got no points here.
Mhm.
So you don't have to go, I mean,
Do you
you've seen
have
the
to-
UTEP.
Yeah, but here's the question, do you have to create a UTEP for housing, or can we have the conditions of what a UTEP may be within the policy? of
I
housing?
think clear and precise, you need to create the UTEP.
I would create both.
It keeps
Yeah.
it clean,
Yeah.
cleaner.
Separate, yeah.
I think it really.
I think as
yeah.
far,
Yeah.
if council was here, he would
You'd
say
say the same
create.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it just
create.
makes it actually in the end easier for us because there's
do too.
clearly defined
Yeah.
criteria for houses
too.
specifically.
We need, I think also, the next governance, we really need a legal here. The last time we had the same issue in the meeting in March where we had legal questions and we had no representation. I think if we're starting to work on developing some of this stuff, I think it's important that legal be present.
Yeah, he could, like I said, he could be here today.
Yeah.
He's heading out on vacation, so.
So listen, I'm looking at our strategy. I think we felt really comfortable with this strategy. So it's about implementing it and actually executing on what's on paper. And to your point, to get things moving forward, right? So I'm wondering, and Lisa, I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe I'm looking at some of this and trying to think about divvying up the work. You know, who can do what. So I think with next steps, I mean, things like existing policies from other IDAs. I don't know, Lisa, if that's something you can go out to the other IDA websites and do some of this legwork for us, right, to try to find out and pull those policies for us that they have, you know, expand search across country and to other counties, and what are some of the innovative housing policies going around. I mean, I think that's something that you could probably help us out, at least initially, to do some of this preliminary research. And then pull that together and provide the data to the governance committee and probably to Steve and Rashida as well. So I think some of this, you know, I'm going to go through and kind of divvy up where we are. I think Lynn, and I know you're working on this, the general questions, I think that will help a lot to drive some of these other meetings that we might have to do. I'm not sure we do a survey. It may just be picking up the phone and trying to get some phone time or meeting time with folks as best we can. But I also think we should kind of give ourselves some timeline here when we want to. At what point do we want to stop doing the data collection and really then gather it together and do a working group and really come up with a policy draft and start noodling around on that.
So, I was doing some online research, and you know, the housing initiative that came out of the county's housing policy, where each town is kind of building their own strategy and plan, and they're getting certified by the county planners, and for every level of certification they get more services from the county helping to support the towns. So there's a lot of towns that aren't doing anything,
that's
but
right.
there's a lot that are. I mean, we've got a lot, most of them are all Brown Star, which is
Yep.
basically getting
Yeah.
a policy in place, but getting to, so maybe even just starting out, reaching out to the towns that already got certified, what are they doing, what,
Yeah.
you know, do they see IDA as having a role?
Yep.
How would they look to, I mean, I think we can start those questions with that, so I will get the questions
Yep.
done and then put the list of towns that are already in the certification
Yeah.
process, so they're
That would be
going
great.
into the process
Yep.
to find out what they're doing.
All right. And Lisa, you
Build a
think
little
you're
better
comfortable
process
doing
and
some of
what
this
works.
research? Okay. So Lisa will do some of that research.
Lisa, I would keep your search strictly to where our counties where we reach out to. You know,
Yeah.
I think there's seven
Seven.
different counties that we consider.
We compared to.
Yeah.
So like Orange and Duchess.
Yeah, that's where we
so,
pull
yeah, yeah.
the member of our
Yep.
workforce from. So.
Yep.
But Albany County, I heard, is doing some innovative things as well, so I don't know if.
Joe has the finger on the pulse on that. I spoke to him about that. They
Yeah,
they
they've
do-
they've done some.
do a lot of
pretty
crazy
innovative-
things, you know.
But they've done some
Put Albany
innovative
on your
things
list,
too,
too.
that I
Okay.
think have reaped some
Yeah.
benefit, or are you saying no?
No, I think it's good to hear from. I
Crazy
mean,
good
he
or
really,
crazy bad?
no.
Sometimes
I-
crazy, you might not want to do the crazy, but you might be inspired by the
You
crazy.
wanna know something? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you'll get
Yeah.
a little raised eyebrow with some of the.
Yeah, but it's
things,
okay.
but-
We're not going to adopt
Yeah.
it. We're just going to use it to
Yeah, you want to listen to it. though.
we
You
wanna
learn
listen
from
to it.
Inform.
to learn from.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
You want to listen.
You
That's
go with
definitely.
that? Okay. You got questions. So I think if we can move that.
Yep.
How long? I don't know. I want to try to start to put some times on these to keep things moving. So.
So on the third bullet of the first one, which is, you know, the housing smart towns,
Mm-hmm.
if I finish the questions and pull together that list, can we send it around, and I mean, at least have conversations with the supervisors in those
Yeah.
towns, kind of divvy up a list?
Yep. So you'll get the questions divvied up. Send it out to.
Maybe you want to ask them too. When was the last time they passed on a
Passed it, yeah.
project, or what was the last project they actually did?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's where the proof, that's where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
you did
you're
it.
gonna find out, well, you know what we did? We told these people no. And then you're going, oh.
Exactly.
What
So
did
you
you really
begin.
do with the policy?
Correct.
Yeah.
Any other questions that you think would be critical, Mike?
That was about it for me, is whether or not you've
Did it.
done it, or if you're currently doing it, or in the process. Because I can tell you, I know 3 towns off the top of my head
Yeah, I do
are
too.
just coming unglued over stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
One of the other questions,
That's good.
not just defining, but also, are there any initiatives currently under consideration that they feel would have a value add of partnering with them on?
Especially
So,
from a county level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then generate it. Just send it to Costa and I if we see anything we want to add or have questions, and then we'll divvy this out from these groups.
I'll put it-
Examples.
I'll put it in 3 tranches, so then everybody can pick a group and we'll
Yep,
go from there.
we're good.
I was
Okay.
going to say one of the examples is the ADU initiative the town of Rochester was running with.
Yeah, every
So I
town
want-
is trying to put that in, yeah.
So for that example, what have they exactly done or achieved, and where has it moved to? And do they need any help from the county? Those kind of questions. Simple.
Yeah, that's a planning. I know planning has worked with them. I think almost every town has some language
Yeah,
being put
Woodstock has done
together.
some.
Woodstock,
really-
Marbletown for sure.
Yeah.
I know New Paltz has.
Yep.
Everybody has, because
Every-
they do see this as a value add.
Everybody's grappling with it.
Yeah.
Across the board, not just
As
here.
Mike, you said,
That
this is
and
decades in the
short-term
making.
rentals.
All
This
right.
is,
Decades.
this has been going on for 26 years here in this county.
This has been a problem forever.
Yep.
This is not new.
No.
It was exacerbated by COVID. I think it really brought
COVID,
it home.
and that's, in all fairness to this board, there's another thing, COVID hit,
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy, everything, we were moving along pretty well on what we were doing
Yep.
with all this, and then all of a sudden it just went off. And then, you know what, when we finally started getting back on track, we had the reorganization,
Mm-hmm.
governance was focused on that, once again, I can't say enough, you guys did a fantastic job on that. And, that became a man focus. Diane was trying to keep the lights on and the wheels on the rail, and, one thing led to another. So, everybody has been focused on getting this thing back up and running and we're finally getting to the point where we have clients coming in, we're telling people, Lisa's handling a lot of that, with directing them to the website for applications. But it's starting to get back to where we should have been.
Yep.
And now we all knew this was coming.
Yep.
So this was gonna be the big one.
Yep.
So here we are, and, I said it once, I'll say it 100 times, that we are here to help in any way we can to offset this housing problem.
We're not the
But we
solution.
are not the entity
You're not the
to
solution.
solve the problem.
No, we are
So,
not. Okay.
we're
But
gonna
is
need
anybody closer to solving it? And if they are, what can we do to help support what they're trying to accomplish?
Right. If we have ideas, why not?
Yeah. All right. All right. Good?
Yep.
We're good? All right. All righty. Awesome.
How was to clarify the legal counsel what our boundaries and guidelines are? I think it went back to how far could we go?
Yeah, like where are the limitations of what the IDA actually can or cannot do, and the boundaries of our what
I
we're
mean,
scoped to do and allowed.
Yeah.
So
As it relates to even bonds.
yeah,
'cause
like where's the
bonds
at?
could be an avenue.
Yeah,
right?
we want.
have you read, have you been, I don't know if you, I don't know. I seem to be following a lot of crazy stuff anymore. That's usually I don't follow. Okay, and, we were going back and forth about the bonding. So bonding is capped at 10 million.
Yep.
And it's been 10 million for 20 years.
Yep.
And, when you start breaking it down into those areas of A, B, and C of what the bonding is, you start using 10 million, you include the price tag of, the second question is, do you have any outstanding money owed to that municipality you're building to? It's usually zero, but the third line item is, how much is your project? And then that's
Yeah.
40 million. And then what you have to do is the fourth line would be, you've got to go, well, 3 years prior to this project, we've had zero input, but this is what we're guesstimating on 3 years out. You've got to be Nostradamus now.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the back page and you total it up, well, 40 million minus 10 million is 30 million. You don't qualify for the bond because the bond's capped at 10 million.
Yeah.
Well, the argument here has been,
Well, we were able to do a
we
workaround
need
with
to
it, Zinc 8.
enlarge that footprint for the bonding to, whatever. It's been stagnant ever.
So is that a legislative?
That is in Albany right now.
Albany.
And we just got done talking about it, and the next day, they came out that they said they have people looking to put a bill on the floor to
Raise it.
raise it to 30 million.
Million.
And 30 million is going to qualify a lot of our projects.
Yep.
You want to know something? Myself and you have always been a little on the fence. Yeah,
Yep.
we were on the fence about the bonds, you know.
Yep.
Because we had a little bit of an issue, but we've got over that hurdle, and
Mhm.
we've cleared the path to make sure nobody gets hurt, and the bonds became really.
Yeah, because that was the first time we did bond with Zinc 8 and how many years of the IDA. I mean,
that was the first time.
that was the
ever-
first time.
There
project
had
prior.
been.
Yeah,
there
and we had to work
there
through a
been
lot
one
of
or
things,
two
but it
early
worked.
on. There had been one or
Yep.
two early on.
And we weren't a part of that.
Yeah.
That was even prior to me getting
Prior,
on the
yeah.
board, and Diane, and she knows the name of it, and that was crazy.
Yep.
You know, that
Yep.
was a crazy one, and we always had a bad taste after that. But once Joe got all that other language in place to protect us from the bonds and the taxpayers,
Yeah.
we went, okay.
Yeah, it worked well. I mean, it worked well for that project.
Yeah, it
did.
did.
In the
Well,
end, it
and
did.
that's a-
And we actually
that's a-
felt
that's
better
an
about
incentive
supporting the
too.
project that way.
That's an incentive
Yeah.
to developers because it's better than what the market rate they would be paying.
Exactly.
You know, Lynn, and to that point, you know, you've got some developers that'll come here and go, hey, we're already covered under this, but you know where we could use help? And this is something the IDA's never gone down that road.
Marketing.
It's marketing. Marketing that's true. Okay, marketing. But you want to know something? What we can do for their infrastructure coming in.
Yeah.
That's a big price tag.
Yep.
You know, to get your water, your sewer, everything into these projects. We can actually work with that.
Yeah.
And you know, that's sometimes when they come down after they've achieved all their goals from the state, there's something always left hanging out
Something.
there.
And lingering. Yes.
Yeah. When is has the legislation been introduced?
Yes, I'll tell you what. I'm going to send it over to you because I grabbed it. Joe goes, "Did you see this?" I go, "Joe, run and play lotto. We just got done talking about it." I said, "You brought it to life. Look at this." He goes, "I didn't even see it." I said, "Look at that."
Yeah.
Joe is all over it.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Good.
And he
Okay.
sent it over to me, so I have it on my
Okay.
phone here.
Awesome. That would be a bit of a game changer.
It would be big.
Yeah.
It would be a big thing because, you know, we're talking to people right now with $40 and $50 million jobs
Yeah.
that just want to go the bond route. And once we do all the math and we get down the formula,
It's lucrative.
And for us, there's minimal to no risk.
Because of the cap.
because of the
Cap.
it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now, one thing about it, if it was $40 million on a bond, but it was spread out over 1, 2, and 3, 4 phases
Yeah.
of a project to
You
get
can
them
make it
started,
work.
you can do it.
Yeah.
Because you can hit the phases.
Yeah.
But the other problem is people are coming in going, yeah, we have no time for a phase. This is what we need.
And now, yeah.
And this is what happens.
Okay. Alrighty.
I hate to bore you with that.
No. That's actually really interesting. That
And it's helpful to the discussion.
Yeah,
we're
it
having,
is.
so.
All right. If everyone's in agreement, we'll move off of old business and we can go into new business. If you'll refer to page 6 in your packet, the proposed revision to the housing policy. So, all right. Let's see. If you go to page 6, I guess it's G. What we're doing is we have a moratorium on the policy. I believe what we're trying to attempt to do in this document here and this particular revision is to make it explicit that a project would have to get prior approval from the other entities, taxing entities, and that would be their responsibility to go out and get that approval and bring it back to this board before we would make any determination on a project. So, Mike, do I have that right? Because I was not at the last board meeting when this came
Yeah,
up.
pretty much in layman terms of F, as described in E above, it says the agency will attempt to obtain the prior approvals. Now, the problem there is you have a job, you have things going on, Diana's busy, Costu's busy, I know I'm busy, you know? So now what you got to do is you've got to, as the agency goes, we have to go and we have to be at everything to get the approval. We have to go get the approval. What this language does basically is just lays it back on the applicant. The applicant is responsible for getting that if they want the incentives, and that's it. And they have to go to these boards anyway to give the pitch, you know?
So here, and I don't disagree with you on this. I think that's right, but this goes back to what I had said at our board meeting, which is by making a change to a policy that's currently under a moratorium, are we indicating we're moving on this policy or we're opening it up? Why make a change? Why not make that change when we have a policy that we're putting on the table? Unless we're saying this is our policy for now and let's just run with it. And that's really, this goes back, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. I'm in total support of it.
So it's a
But
timing of.
It's the timing of when you make a change like this that you're indicating we're lifting the moratorium, and are we?
Well, that's gonna be something for governance to determine at the end of the day, you guys. But you being the author of this phrase, okay, all these policies are living, breathing documents, okay? And I consider this one of the same. Now, this does not change the scope of what's currently in here one bit. Nothing. All it does is put it back on the applicant instead of the agency. That's it. Whether or not you change it with a moratorium, I think legally there's nothing saying you can't change anything in here and still keep it under a moratorium.
It's not a legal question. It's telling the public we're getting ready to put something out, and my question is, are we getting ready to put something out?
It might want to be clear. So the idea is this is on moratorium. We have a policy that we are not using right now, right? We're not considering, and
I mean, you could leave it.
we're reconsidering. I just want to make sure I get what we're reconsidering our policy. So why make any change at all that
Until we're
potentially might signal to individuals that we're ready to do something and we're really not, or maybe we are. We haven't talked about lifting the moratorium here. So it's more about signaling and timing and that moving forward, our new policy would incorporate. Because I do believe we need to do this. I mean,
I don't
we don't-
wholeheartedly support it.
we've had a little run-in with this in our past projects with the previous board, and it is not pretty.
It's a lot of work for a board like this to do.
It is, and
And it should be up to, if the individuals bringing the project to us want the incentives, then they should go out and do the work to get it.
And it also helps the local taxing entities better understand what this project is going to be within their
You have that person
jurisdiction.
right in front of you
Yeah,
asking
questions, and they are going to feel better about
They're
the
coming,
project.
Whether or not they come with a PowerPoint or they come with a storyboard or
Right.
whatever, but everybody is getting the full lay of the land.
I understand the signaling. I actually agree with that to an extent. However, I think we have talked about it a few times now. And at some point, given that we are going to move forward on the housing project and housing policy soon enough, I think this is just work in motion. We're not finalizing anything at this point with the broader policy. We're simply saying that this is something that will stay, and this is not going to be the agency's responsibility.
Although there's still a
I-
moratorium.
I think it's
I'm
still a
ambivalent
more,
to-
you're indicating we're moving, and this is a tweak and we could be changing the whole thing in a month.
On that, I would say no, I agree. On that, I would say one thing though. I do want to portray to the community that we are moving forward. I don't want them to see that we are not moving forward. The second thing I would say is I don't think if we implement this right now, we are going to remove this from any policy that we implement. So this is something that should stay because this is a lot of work for the agency to undertake. So why not implement it right now versus waiting, especially when we know we are going to be looking at the housing policy. Unless there is something of a carve-out that I don't understand here that can be reflected onto the housing policy. And I'm having a very open conversation. I don't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have alternate views discussed openly so we can figure out what's the best course of action.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I think by putting, you're implying, even though, yes, we're moving forward, okay, but you're implying that here's our change to the policy. They're going to say, okay, are you lifting the moratorium? No, we just added this. Why did you add this? Well, because we wanted to be clear. But it could be in the future. I'm saying this is important enough to absolutely be in whatever policy we put forward. But timing-wise, do we do this now when we haven't made the decision of lifting the moratorium? We haven't even had a conversation with our work group.
I don't think timing.
Well,
let's put it this way. I
Then
think
put it to
timing
a
for
vote.
everything that we do here is under a black hat, okay? But, you know, with this though, one thing about it, and I'm gonna go off of you know what? You know what? We have, we have gotten in front of projects before, good, bad, and different with the public, okay? And you know what? If this percentage is not screaming about this, and this percentage isn't screaming, there's no middle ground here.
Yeah, let me ask
So
you-
with this language, okay, all it does is it prepares you for the next round. You know, it prepares you for the next round. And that's all it does. And you say, hey, although we did make a change to the housing policy, and we just want to be clear that for now, from this point on in the policy, the current policy, it says that the applicant has to ascertain all the approvals. And, you know, and then we turn around and tell everybody, it's a good fit with this language because now they have to come to every school board, town,
Yeah.
you know.
The policy is good. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, the changes are absolutely needed, required, and I think good. And I fully support the revision. I mean, we've lived through the other side of that, as I said. So I come back to what's the goal in doing it now, because we're not lifting the moratorium.
I think
So
it's one step in the ladder, moving up to the final policy. I really do. I mean, can you table this and put it all on paper and going, hey, eventually we want to add this language because currently we have a moratorium? Sure, you could do that. But to Costube's point, every time you present something that we've done this, we've done that, and we're getting closer to our goal of opening this back up. I mean, that's the transparency on this policy moving ahead to the public.
I'll say it
It's
even
true.
simply, not from your side, but just from my perspective. To me, I don't think this is contentious.
no, it's
This
not
is not even a-
contentious.
Not
No,
at
no,
all.
no, it's not.
And
I don't
this
think
is
it
not
is.
even
No.
this is not even something that
No.
should not have been considered previously. Should have been. This is not going to be even a point of discussion whether we should do it or not. We know we should do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely.
To me, if we should do it, I think we should do it sooner than later.
I'm not gonna live with
That's
that.
all.
We brought
It's
this
not
up
about
in 2020. and
yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. I thought it was done. I thought it was done.
To me, it's
You know?
benign. That's why I don't see why it shouldn't be done. That's all.
It's not benign if you've got people watching for us to put something out, and you put something out, but it's still a moratorium, because that's not really our policy.
But Lynn,
It-
on that I have to say, on that I have to say with due respect, we haven't even done anything on housing policy. Nothing to be.
I agree.
I'm taking it responsibility as a board. This is a simple change to me, unless I'm missing something, Mike. I don't know. I actually don't know.
No, it's
So
that-
listen,
you know,
I'm on the. I'll be honest. Right now, I'm on the fence with this because I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. My one thing, you're right. Like, this is non-contentious.
No,
It's
this
a
is not-
it's a no-brainer. On the other side, I do wonder if we have potential. I mean, how everybody's chomping at the bit to do something here with housing, right? And if we are signaling that it's starting to move, I just worry that we're sending out a signal and it's a false start. That here is the IDA again, they're tweaking around with it, but at the end of the day, we still can't flip it. Wrong thing. We still can't do anything here. And like if this is how they're working, they're just tweaking things. It would be frustrating. I would be frustrated as I were on the outside trying to think about coming here to do some housing, and I see these little tweaks, and I'm like, but no, we're not still going to do anything with you. I would be frustrated as a business owner. I'm being honest.
I don't think
I
I
don't
would,
think
because
that's true,
This
actually, yeah.
This is more than what I'm seeing put out there.
But
Just
it's
that
like
little-
hanging,
just that
but it's
little
hanging
change
a
of one
carrot.
letter.
It's hanging a carrot, but you can't eat the carrot yet. I mean, what?
No, I don't see it as that. Actually, I don't see it as that, Diane, because I have to say it again. It's not something they can act on. This is something
my
just
point, the
let
frustration
me-
for them of
no,
that.
there is no frustration. They know there is a moratorium, and we are discussing on the plan that we just looked at that what should be done in the housing. We are discussing that, so the public knows that the board is working on it. My
No,
question
we've been
is,
working on it for months and months, so I don't. I
To
just
what avail?
and,
now we're just
unless we're
tweaking
putting a
the
press
policy
Okay, so
release,
that
here's
we
what I
know
would
unless
say.
we're
may not
putting a
even be
press
in
release,
place.
unless we're putting a press release out, they cannot read our minds, and so that can be interpreted out
no,
there.
they can
And
watch
mi-
this.
who's gonna watch?
Exactly my point. So they're not interested if they're not watching. That is
My
exactly
point
my
is that if you're going to do this, so it's either way. It deletes your point. If it's showing momentum and they're not watching this, how are they going to know we have
why-
momentum?
why
No, no,
do
no.
they even
Actually,
think
no.
that?
It does not negate my point. I'm sorry. I have to say this. It does not, because what we are doing is process oriented here. This is not adding to any action. Let me just finish for a second. This is not adding to any action. The indication that we be providing to the public, in my opinion, would be that we are taking care of administrative issues that might be a holdup later on. This should not be a holdup at all. So this does not. I've looked at markets quite a bit and policies. This is not indicative.
How are they going to know that we did this?
They don't have to. If they want to know, this is in their favor.
So why
This is not
do that's?
something-
I guess it's. I feel like we
Why
got a
shouldn't we
chicken
do
egg
something
here.
for the better of the people, and they don't have to
Going
know
to know
about it.
anyway.
And this isn't
So
for
if
the
they
better
don't know
of
it,
the
then we shouldn't do
people.
something better.
No, I'm not. No, that's just putting words in my mouth.
No,
What I'm
not at
said
all.
here is that I agree with this policy and it's important and we need to do it. That's
I
not
think
under.
we're spending too
That
much
is
time on
not.
figuring out whether
That's
to
not
do it or
under
not.
debate. It's the
Okay.
timing of this and what do we really gain by
I-
doing if nobody's going to really know we
We
did
don't
it
lose anything
anyway.
by doing it. I'm trying to understand, what do we lose?
At the end of the day, the majority, if not all of that policy stays in place with whatever else we add, be it the AMI, be it, we only incentivize a percentage of what you determine as affordability or whatever. And as you guys add that up, but, you know, the other thing about it is, I say to myself all the time, you know, we go through current policies and we, you know, I think everybody's getting hung up on the moratorium word. It doesn't mean you can't work on a document.
To
while
me,
we're in
it's
a
an
moratorium.
administrative change. I agree.
You know, I mean,
It's not a-
I've seen them tabled out before where we've worked on language to add to it or get it correct. I mean, if, you know, these are, you're right, and now I'm gonna go to council because I wish Joe was here just to say, you know, but whatever this group, you know, this is you're the chair, whatever this group is comfortable with, that's what everybody's gonna work with. That's what we're gonna run with.
Look, to me, this is administrative, ceteris paribus. I don't think this impacts anything. So to me, I'm ambivalent, as I said earlier. But given this is administrative, I'd rather pick the low-hanging things quickly and take care of them than wait on it. That's all.
And from my perspective, do work just to show that we're making work and we're not lifting the moratorium. When was the last time we went through item by item by item and had a discussion as a governance committee about every aspect of this? We haven't. And so at
Of
this
what,
juncture,
This?
about the policy and about lifting a moratorium. Again, to me, we're making adjustments to a policy that is under a moratorium. We should be focusing on spending the time doing our plan and the research here to inform what needs to change in this before we make any changes. So any changes that we would put out there, we're now sending a message, we're getting closer.
Actually,
I agree.
We did, I'll be forthright on this. When I was governance chair, that committee reviewed every single policy within 1 year and revamped them all and did every one of them over. Every single, how many was there? 17? And let me tell you, we were busy. We were busy. Every one of these, including this policy.
And I would say one thing. I agree with how you're phrasing it in terms of there's a moratorium. However, the current policy is the current policy.
Yeah.
So that should
But
be.
if they can't do anything with it, why would we change
No, if
something?
there's
And
a-
why wouldn't we put out a policy
I'll-
that is comprehensive, based on the work
I
we've
understand.
done?
I understand.
For
That's
a
a revised.
policy that is new to everybody.
Lynn, I understand. That's a revised policy in my opinion. It's not the standard current policy. Because of that, if there is an open spot that is a hole in the current policy, I think we should fix it now from a legal standpoint. I don't know what our counsel will say, but if this is something that's burdening the board or agency, we should remedy it
Why,
immediately.
it's not burdening the agency, because we're not doing
That's
any.
because we have a moratorium.
Exactly.
But the policy still stands.
But
I
you
think what
can't
Costu's
use
saying,
it.
It's okay.
despite the moratorium,
You
still
can't
work on
use
policy.
it.
You can still work on things
You
that
can
are.
still add stuff to the policy.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, a tractor. I have a
seems-
tractor. I'll just take an example. If it
I
doesn't, I don't
seems-
use it,
I
I
don't
still
look at the
maintain it.
optics anymore.
it just seems kind of like.
I'm over the optics.
Yeah.
It's just not even that. It just seems like it's like. I don't know. It's like you have a policy. You're not allowed to use it, but we're going to
No, I.
It's make
that-
work. It's actually, it does exactly what you said that we're doing, which is let's show them we're
So,
working on something.
I have a question.
No, I was simply responding to what you said, so that's not
And
my
I'm not being
words.
facetious here, so I have a question. So here we are in June. Let's put a fruition date on this. Let's put a date on this that this policy will be changed by.
And
Yeah.
that's
I-
another
I
thing,
can do
actually,
that.
from
I-
governance standpoint. In fact, what we worked on with reorganization. I appreciate you saying that, Mike, because I think we miss a lot of milestones because we don't set them. We don't have any milestones.
And you know, this is a great conversation, by the way. This is a
Oh,
great meeting.
it's helpful.
Yeah. So along those lines, I think you set that sunset date, and you come to terms with, man, we better have all this together, and this is what it is. You know, I know you want to include Rashida, and listen, no feet dragging. You know, no feet dragging, because now we're all back in it again. You know,
Okay, so
and
this-
here's the other thing too, is that I am taking in consideration also that you know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but you know, people do have some stuff going on in their lives right now. So, you know, I know, but that's where we all rely on each other as a board.
Okay, so let me ask this group, realistically, what we have before us, what do we, as a group, want to believe is doable for a milestone for having this done?
I can't say. I haven't talked to anybody yet, other than Steve. I don't know what.
This is for us to determine. We are the
You mean in
governance.
terms of?
I feel if
I
we
think-
push ourselves.
I think the governance committee is in charge of housing in terms of what we do, and it's up for us to set a date of a milestone of when we will have a housing policy for the full board to consider.
Not knowing all the works that have gone into it, and I think there is a lot that has been done, and Lynn is closer to that. In my mindset, from looking inside
Yeah.
into it, I'd say no more than 45 days to 60 days from now.
I was going to say September, but
I was
I
going to say
think-
yeah,
before
I-
Labor Day. That's what I was thinking.
People
I
are
think-
going away.
Yeah.
It's summer. People aren't going
Yeah.
to be able to engage in. I think
So before
realistically,
Labor Day
it's
would
really-
be-
there's no
think by
going away
having-
until this policy is done.
Yeah,
I
right.
think by
Okay.
having a policy for the board
To
by the
review.
September meeting
I think
Yes.
it's doable.
Yeah,
is
that's
doable.
all. Yeah.
And even then, you know, there still could be tweaks, et cetera, and discussion, but at least it gives us time.
Yes. It's going to be a living, breathing document, as we have done with previous ones.
You know
so-
what? My boss always used to say to all of us, you're going to make a lot of mistakes to get it right.
And if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn.
That's right. So,
So the governance committee is making a commitment by September 20th, our next board, the September full IDA board meeting, to have a draft housing policy available for the full board to discuss.
Yep.
All right, there we have it.
Thank you.
and I wouldn't limit myself on asking anyone, any input, if that helps you, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We have too
No,
many smart
absolutely.
people on this board.
Oh, absolutely.
Nope.
One of the questions, though, I wanted to throw out to you, Mike, because this was one that I think we need help from
Joe?
Joe for, is what's IDA's ability to purchase land? Because, you know, there's some parcels out there, the county has some parcels. I'm just wondering if that is
Yeah.
part of an incentivizing,
You know, we've been approached on that for solar arrays. People came in. they
no, for
wanted-
housing. I think if we're specifically
You know what
buying
happens?
land for
It-
housing.
I'm going to just speak on my own
Please.
opinion on
Yeah,
that.
please.
My own opinion is, overnight, you create 400,000 developers because they no longer have to put any money out of their pocket. It's almost a lease back, okay, program. So let's put it this way, I would, personally, I would turn around and go, fantastic. I'm looking to ascertain, 20 acres of land at your cost, and then I'll sign all the papers and I'll agree to the terms, so I'm really paying your rent, because I don't have, I don't know, $1 million up front to put out for the infrastructure and the property to develop it, okay? That's my own opinion. Council will tell you different because Joe deals with all these different IDAs that do land purchases. I can tell you here, we've never done it. we've been approached on it.
So let's talk to him about who has done it and been successful, who has done it and not been
But you gotta
successful,
watch,
and why.
we gotta watch how far into the woods we wanna get too, because now we're acting, now, not that these current manufacturing projects or these projects, we're not partners, but now we're above and beyond a partnership. We own the
Well,
property.
and I'm not saying this is a long-term, we purchase it, we use it as an incentive tool, and then in the deal, they are starting to buy back the land.
And on the
So
alternative end of that, we
it just
do,
may help with the numbers as you're putting your balance sheets
we do know
together.
on a legislative end, which you are all too familiar, is that we have shovel ready, okay? We have,
And where has that gone?
yeah, I'm not saying that, but I mean, that's available. The avenues are available for shovel ready, or, there was another one there, and I can't remember the
A
name.
brownfield.
Brownfields, yeah, redeveloping brownfields.
Yeah.
Not to mention existing factories or existing vacant buildings,
This again, this is my opinion as well, personal opinion. I do like the idea of having some access to buying land, if.
Well, we have
if-
access.
no, no,
We
if-
do. I want to know
from
what
a
the,
legal standpoint.
Yeah.
Especially if there can be some improvements to the infrastructure around it too, because there are a lot of dilapidated lands.
or
Nobody
land,
develops around it.
barren land with
Yes.
no infrastructure,
Yes.
which is
That's right.
required, that could be part,
That's what I'm saying.
sewer
Yes,
and,
that's
yes,
exactly what I'm
water.
And that's the
That's why I
other thing,
said,
Diane.
somebody's
We
figured
forget
this
too
out.
soon about the bond.
Yeah,
We forget about the bonds all the time.
yeah, no.
And listen, that's something I think that we make sure we have Joe in the room on that, so Joe can give us a little
Yeah.
input from what he's done previously.
It's like we woke up that little beast there.
Yeah.
We poked it. It was
I do think that our next meeting needs to have Joe here. I think, that could be really helpful.
Joe usually comes to every one of these.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
He's
it's
usually
just,
here.
Was he at our last?
Yeah,
one?
he was.
Joe
Yeah.
bought a brand new Speedo and was heading to the beach.
Okay,
I'll send you-
can we strike that
Please.
from the video?
His
Okay.
mic is on.
Yeah, I know. All right, gang. So I think we've come to actually a good place, and thank you for a good conversation. It was good.
Robust.
It was robust at that, yeah. So we come into agreement in terms of the new business that what we're going to do is we will leave as is the current policy, but we are committing to having a full housing draft available for the full board discussion on September 20th, our board meeting in September. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
What is it, September?
20.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation Governance Committee meeting on June 14th. It is about 11:07 a.m. Roll call. I am present. Lynn?
Here.
Costume?
Yes, here.
Great. If you could refer to page 3 of your meeting packet and review the meeting minutes from March 13th. Once you've done that, if someone could make a motion to accept these minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Costume. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment on agenda items only. Anyone, Lisa? Okay, there's no one present here either. Executive session is not necessary. Old business county housing. I would like to make note that the discussion that we had in the IDA meeting around that county housing also apply to this as well. Thank you. Any new business? No new business. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.